Good evening, Wood County. I'm Brooke Ebersole, General Manager here at BG24 News. Every week we bring you the stories that matter most on campus, in the community, across the state, and across the nation. The Producers Panel is where we take a step back and talk about the stories in our own opinion. But these opinions do not reflect the views of the organization and do not impact the way we cover these or any other stories. Tonight we'll discuss why campus remains open despite frigid temperatures. Then we'll talk about a student-run social media series before finally discussing a new bill in Ohio that aims to reduce drug overdoses. It's all here on your BG24 News Producers Panel. Thanks again for joining us tonight on BG24 News Producers Panel. I'm going to take a minute and introduce the panel sitting before you. To my left is Amy Steigerwald, a reporter and anchor for us here. And to my right is executive producer Matt Heitkamp. And to Matt's right is sports director Katie Warnke. Thanks for being here with me tonight, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Despite below zero temperatures, BGSU has not canceled classes. Reporter Amy Steigerwald tells us why.
Freezing temperatures have caused many universities throughout Ohio to close down over the past 2 weeks. But the brutal cold has not stopped BGSU from canceling classes. After walking around and across campus, many students and faculty members have questioned why the university has stayed open.
You wake up, you're super cold, and you got to go outside early, 8:30, and the wind is cutting your face and it hurts, so it's very hard to walk to class.
University spokesman Dave Kilmeyer says there is only one condition on which BGSU is set to close.
You know, there really aren't any set conditions where we will close. Certainly if there's a level 3 snow emergency, we would close or cancel classes.
According to the National Weather Service, frostbite is more likely to develop when high winds are in effect. This is another factor that the university takes into account when looking to cancel classes.
Certainly temperature is one factor that we consider. As we looked at it last week, we were fortunate that compared to other parts of the state, the wind chill wasn't that high, or low rather.
The first snow day of the year for BGSU happened on Monday, February 2nd. This was due to Wood County being in a level 3 snow emergency. BGSU strongly advises students to bundle up when walking outside, as they do not foresee canceling classes anytime soon. Reporting for BG24 News, I'm Amy Steigerwald.
Amy, I can imagine just even going out there and shooting a package about sub-zero temperatures was hard.
Yeah, the day I went out there, I think it was 1 degree outside.
Oh my gosh.
So the wind was blowing, and you got the camera on top of you. But basically, they kind of just beat around the bush a little for me.
Yeah.
They did say that if there were to be a level 3 snow emergency, such as on February 2nd, they would close because that's just the general rule of thumb. Yeah, exactly. But they kind of said, if it's really cold, obviously, and the winds are really high, really dangerous, we will close. But, I mean, last week was pretty bad. I think we can all agree on that, and we still all had school.
Well, I think there's something to be said for there's a difference between a lot of snow and
cold.
Sub-zero temperatures.
And sometimes it can even be more dangerous walking in the freezing cold.
Yeah.
Like the snow, I get it's hard to walk to class, but it really can't injure you,
Unless, I suppose, if you slip and fall. But
the zero temperatures
you're not looking at frostbite if it's 25 degrees and we have 1.5 feet of snow.
And I think BG is one of the windiest places throughout Ohio.
Oh, yeah. And that was something that you mentioned, that frostbite is a lot more likely and is a lot more of an issue at high winds, which I don't think I've ever walked around on this campus when there's not high wind.
No, very rarely.
So to me, it sounds like the school will only close if they have to, required by law.
Yes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Is that the gist of this whole story, basically?
I tried to kind of get a set answer, but it seemed as if unless it's really, really bad out, wind-wise and temperature-wise, so we're talking negative 30s and that, which that's almost.
So were you able to ask them why other universities around the area even canceled? I know Cincinnati and I think Akron, other schools on these days have been canceled, but we weren't. Is that just a decision made by that university, or do they have different rules than we have?
He basically they said they evaluate each situation individually. They said last week, he said apparently the winds weren't as bad as we would have thought they would have been, or as bad as they have been in the past. As much as we want to believe that. I think that we can all speak for ourselves. Walking to class last week was rough.
Yeah.
It was.
You know, and I'm all for, I like going to class, and, you know, canceling classes is not something that, like, I look forward to just so I'll have a day off.
You get behind in the work then.
Yeah, but when I've got to trek all the way from one campus to the other, and, you know, we're talking 0-1 degrees, and my face hurts while I'm walking, that makes it hard.
And you cry, too, when it gets really cold. You get the tears streaming down your face, too.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. I think one thing that's interesting, too, though, is that while, you know, college students have to walk outside to class, we see some high schools around the area that are closed. And they're in one building. I understand that they might have to walk to or from the bus stop or stand outside, but we're walking at least a cumulative probably 20 minutes outside.
Yeah.
And I think that's,
you know, that's a minimum.
Yeah, I think that's probably an age thing too, because high schools and elementary schools always tend to close before, you know, a college.
And you're dealing with minors.
You're dealing with minors and kids and whatnot. And another thing I think that has to be a factor is just distance traveled on campus, because other universities that might be larger or maybe have more or less commuters, that has to play a factor into whether they decide to have classes or not. Because I'll tell you what, one of the few things I miss about Wright State University is all the underground tunnels.
Oh
they had underground tunnels.
They
have underground tunnels that lead from building to building. So you can get lost in them. Let me tell you what, you can get lost in them. But on a day like we've had these past weeks, they're come in handy.
Yeah, I didn't know that was even a feasible option.
Those.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, but. Yeah, it's just, I would honestly, I was talking to my mom about this the other day, I would honestly rather go miles and miles away from home down to, like, Georgia in the most random bum place to not have to deal with breathing in the air, and I feel like I got brain freeze, not from eating a popsicle, but from breathing in the air outside.
Yeah, and he basically said, you know, you're older, you're college students now, you're smart enough to know you got to bundle up to walk to class. And my thing is, yes, obviously, there are some.
I can put on 3 parkas, but that doesn't mean that.
I walked to school with 3 pairs of pants the other day.
I'm not going to wear a ski mask to school, guys. It's not going to happen.
Hopefully, there are no more days like that where we really have to take that much precaution.
Yeah.
I hope not.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Coming up, we'll discuss a social media series created by a student on campus. Stay with us. You might be familiar with a popular online photo series called Humans of New York. Pictures of people are paired with quotes that reveal human moments in a single city. Student Madeline Fenning has started a similar series here in Bowling Green, and the page almost already has 1,000 likes. Here to talk about the page with us is creator Madeline Fenning.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
No problem. Thanks for coming on with us.
It's a very interesting topic. Yeah, you want to tell us about it?
Yeah, sure. Humans of Bowling Green is similar or similar to Humans of New York, if anyone at home is familiar with that. I kind of got the idea from Humans of New York, this awesome Facebook page that had these really neat pictures of New Yorkers, like portraits of them that were paired with these quotes from what seemed to be like a nice casual interview that kind of reveals a human moment or gives an example of the human condition. And so I really was drawn to it because I really like news, and I also really love documentary, and I kind of felt in a way like it kind of was like a little bit of a kind of a combination of both. And what's really neat about it is that it's kind of like these daily doses of human moments, and that people really liked that. And I thought, you know, it would be so cool to see that happen in Bowling Green, and I saw that there wasn't one online, so I thought, okay, I'll just make one, and so I did.
So these people do they know that they're being, pictures taken, and do they know what captions going under it too? Or?
Yeah, well, how it works is I just walk up to a random person that I see on campus or around town, and I introduce myself, and I ask them if I can talk to them and take their picture and take a moment from our conversation and their picture, put them together and put them on Facebook. And I explain what Humans Bowling Green is and stuff, and so it's not like it's, like a sneaky thing.
Right.
By any
You want
means.
to talk about this guy that you interviewed?
Yeah, absolutely. This was one of the more recent pictures that kind of got a lot of attention online. This guy, he had a really cool story that, he was hit by a car when he was riding his bike home from campus, which, ouch, that's pretty scary. And he had a really lengthy, grueling recovery, and he is still recovering. When I talked to him, he had been off of his crutches for about a week, I think. But what's really interesting about him is that actually that you don't see online is that he is a exercise science major. So for him, fitness, being mobile in general, really is not only a value of his and important to him, but kind of important for his major, like for school.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of inhibiting for him to have been hit by a car, as it would be for anybody. And I got a lot of attention online. People really thought his story was inspiring, and it was it was really cool to talk to him and hear his story.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things about Humans of New York is that you really do see how people can connect, and over social media they rally around people and they really show their support and show that we are all humans.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I love about Humans of Bowling Green as well, is it really does make you feel like you are a community.
Yeah,
even though
cool.
you may not know someone on the street, you feel like you can know them through this picture and know that you do have the same struggles or you do have the same successes.
Something that I like about it is that, you hear so much about like cyberbullying via social media, and people just say awful things about each other through, mediums like Facebook and Instagram, and then you see things like this that are nice and warm-hearted and make people realize that they are connected by one thing or another. And social media is, yes, it can tear people apart, but it can also really bring people together.
Absolutely. It's like cyber support is kind of like what you see. I also did a lot of photos of people at the St. Baldrick's event where they, students go and they raise money and they have their head shaven completely in support of people who are, battling cancer. Here's a picture of there's this girl. She was so awesome. She got nearly her entire sorority to come out and watch her shave her head. And I mean, if you think about like what the stereotype is of like a sorority girl, people think, oh, like they're obsessed with their looks or whatever and things like that. And this girl, she came out and was completely, proving them wrong. And she's like, nope, like I'm gonna shave my head. I don't need any of my hair. And she was so cool. Her best friend had been diagnosed with cancer, and she was saying, oh, I'm gonna be so ugly because I'm losing my hair. And she was like, no, you won't. You're gonna be beautiful, and I'll show you. Like, the hair is not everything. I'll shave my head with you. And she did it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's so cool. And people online just loved seeing that, because it's something that's just so striking. Like, you just don't see people who sacrifice that much, that often. And so it's cool to show people online that these things are happening in their community.
So how does that decision processing work for like when you're going out to find these people? Do you like target certain events? Do you target certain places on campus, or just wherever something that you think can inspire people strikes you, you go to that?
Well, with the St. Baldrick's event, I kind of just thought, okay, there's definitely some interesting human moments going on in here. But in general, like I just kind of walk up to people that are either in the union or wherever, and usually I go up to people who are by themselves because you get more of like a closeness with them and to be able to talk to them. But yeah, I usually just kind of pick someone and go. There's no real target. I try to get as much perspective as I can, so I try to get people of different obvious gender, racial, ethnic backgrounds, just because I do want to keep the perspective balanced. But other than that, it's just kind of, I try not to think about it too much because I can psych myself out because I am walking up to random people and saying, hey, divulge your human emotion to me. And so I just kind of tell myself, like, look at someone, pick them, just go. And I just do it.
Do you ever have anybody that just reacts terribly? Do they get super camera shy or?
I have people, actually, it's really interesting. It's usually the other way around. I have people who at first are very cautious, like, you want to talk to me about who I am and then take my picture and put it on the internet, which of course I always tell them I'm putting it online because they really need to know that. But that's always kind of like what freaks people out, because putting something online nowadays is putting it out there for everyone to see. It could be. And so, and I always am like really comfortable and reassuring them, like, oh no, it's fine. Like it's really, I always say it's really chill, which sounds so informal, but I want to make them comfortable. And so usually what it is people at first are very uncomfortable, and then eventually as we're talking, they kind of get, you can see a spark of confidence in them. You can see them kind of
to open up a little bit.
Yeah, they start to open up because I think people realize that when people are actually listening to you and want to know who you are and want to know about you, there's something that's like comforting about that and encouraging about that, and that's why you get these human moments from these brief conversations, and that's what makes it possible.
So is it just you out there doing this? Is it just like a number of people doing this, a team, or?
So far it's just me, and I want to be able to make it I do want to keep it kind of small because then you kind of have a bit more control. But I am, there are a couple of people that I've, who share a similar philosophy as I do about this, and they have been shadowing me and stuff. And so, but I will be graduating in May, so I have to give it up, and it makes me so sad. Yeah. But that way I know it'll be in good hands.
But this is something you definitely want to continue, though.
I wanted to continue on Bowling Green when I'm gone, definitely. Yeah. I would love for people to keep doing it. That would make me very happy. And I'm moving to Austin this summer, Texas, and I've been, because I'm like obsessed with the Humans of model, I've been researching the Humans of Austin, and I'm gonna probably contact them and be like, hey, if you need any help, let me know. But we'll see how it goes.
That's a great thing that you do. It's awesome.
Thank
it's awesome
you.
to see.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Coming up when we return, we'll discuss a new bill recently approved in Ohio and how it could save lives. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Ohio House Committee has approved a bill to expand the use of a drug overdose antidote. This antidote is used to help save drug users who may be dying from an overdose. Drug overdose is now the leading cause of accidental death in Ohio.
It's pretty serious.
Yeah, this is really, especially in a college town, I think this is something that you hear a lot about.
Yeah, because I know, like what they said, it's now the leading cause of accidental deaths. It used to be car crashes, and now it's drug use. And I know, especially in Wood County, heroin use is pretty big.
Yeah.
And this bill, I mean, it's obviously not going to stop the use, which needs to be focused on, but it would at least help, maybe save some lives.
Yeah.
Definitely needs to be a focus on researchers and medical personnel, because I know my mom is in the medical field and she always talks about how this is a problem. They're always finding some new way to get a hold of these drugs, and young people too, and that's really, really sad because they have such long lives ahead of them and they're experimenting with these very powerful drugs.
Yeah, well, I'm sure this was something that caused a lot of controversy because obviously you want to be saving lives and you want to be helping people that are struggling with a drug addiction, but at the same time, you don't want to be putting out this disclaimer that says, oh, well, if you try it and something goes wrong, we'll be able to help you.
Yes.
You obviously want to scare people from it. You don't want them to be like, oh, I can do it and somebody will help me, because that may not always be the case.
Yeah, you might not want to scare them more, you want to educate them.
Yes.
That's what's important. You want to educate them about these drugs and stuff. And I mean, this isn't, from what I understand, this isn't something that's going to be available for like all medical personnel to use. They have to be trained with it. They have to be approved by a physician of some sort to actually use it. So it's not going to be available everywhere. And the bill was just approved, so it hasn't passed. So a lot can change from here until in the future.
Yeah, I think it would be great. Like we talked about, we've had several incidents now of Wood County and having issues with drug overdose and drug use. I think it would be something nice to see down at Wood County Hospital.
Definitely, yeah. As I know, like you said, here in Wood County, it's happening. I mean, WBGU, the TV station
That's right.
here,
They run
they
a
had
special.
a Northwest Ohio Journal. They did a special series on heroin and opiate use, and they worked with local officials, local state officials and police to better understand this issue and maybe get help you educate people about it.
I hope that this is something they include in that series now, and I think that whole series was kind of sparked by the issue that we kind of noticed that there was a spike in, rising of drug use in a public place, which was also concerning. We talk about those hotels that are down on Wooster Street that people would rent rooms, and that seems like their safe place to do it, which is dangerous because
they don't seem as concerned that it's this powerful.
Yeah.
They don't know. I mean, they may know, but they don't quite believe it, and they need to be told, this can seriously hurt you. This could kill you. And by having something like this maybe come out, it might show them that this is a serious issue. You need to be concerned about this.
Yeah, and I think that it's like people think that they're invincible until something happens to them. It could happen to their best friend, but they think that it is invincible until it happens to them. So like I said, this is a controversial thing to have, because it's almost like saying, here's your hall pass, here's your get out of jail free card only one time, but somebody will be there to help you, which is not necessarily the case, I don't think, with this.
Especially because they don't know how powerful, how much they're going to use, how much intake they have.
Right.
And that's probably a good reason why, we're just hearing about this bill. This bill is finally just coming forward, is, people were thinking in the past, oh, well, that, like you said, this will be just like a hall pass of some sort.
Yeah.
But now it's getting too extreme to the point where we're more concerned on saving lives, which is an important issue. And so it depends on how people view it, I think.
Yeah, I'm happy to see that the government saw, okay, well, can we save lives or can we teach a lesson?
Right.
You know, and obviously at the end of the day, you don't want to see a spike in deaths because of drug use. And you know, and if there's a way, okay, people are going to use, you know, are going to abuse these drugs, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But right now, let's solve the immediate problem that's in front of us, that people are dying from this, you know, and just like we have, I suppose, a semi-cure for alcohol poisoning, you know, which is stomach pumping, you know, now we're looking at something that could potentially save thousands of lives through this, similar to stomach pumping. I don't completely understand what the actual medical procedure of it is. I believe it's like almost kind of when you have kidney failure, you know, you go through blood, and they clean out your blood with that kind of stuff. I almost kind of think it's the same thing. I don't completely understand. I wish I could, you know, talk to someone who...
I don't think I know either. But another thing that it reminds me of is, because like obviously before this was the leading cause of accidental death, it was car accidents. And we saw the whole click it or ticket thing get put out by police.
Campaign,
you know, to just save lives is what that was meant to do. And now that, you know, this drug use is the #1 problem, we see more and more bills, more and more efforts being passed to stop that.
Yeah, I think even though it's in its early stages, I really do think this will be a good campaign.
Yes, for sure.
Coming up when we return, we'll wrap up our show for you tonight. Stay with us. Well, something that I know a lot of students here at BG are looking forward to is spring break, but before we can look forward to spring break, we have to face what is dreading us all next week is midterms.
Yep, I got all my midterms next week, and I mean, I'm looking forward to getting them done and getting the spring break, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, it's here already.
Yeah.
We're halfway through the school year, it's time to, you know, start focusing on these bigger assignments.
Yeah, you take week by week and you say, oh, you know, I know that midterms are looming over my head, but oh, I have time to study, I have time to study, and then you get to, here we are, the week before, and you say to yourself, oh my gosh, I wish I had been looking over my notes, I wish I had been studying a little more.
All of my teachers conveniently decided to make theirs early, so I'm basically done with all of mine.
Well, lucky you.
It was hard, but I'm done, so I'm happy.
Yeah, well, that's nice.
It's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Well, that's it for BG24 News Producers Panel tonight. Make sure you check out these stories and more on our website and Facebook page. And feel free to tweet us what you thought about tonight's show. Have a good night, everyone.